Hello and welcome to Con Artists, Episode 4, A New Hope. Okay, yeah, that was Tarzan Boy. Not Star Wars. We decided not to do that.
Yeah, it's more like No Hope.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. All right, so I'm your host, Maestro. I'm here with my brother.
I'm Dan.
And
I'm Brian.
Alrighty. So, just to get it out there first, we actually have nothing Star Wars to talk about. The titles of our cast are just mainly jokes.
Random drunken thoughts late at night.
That about sums it up, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually worried about what we're going to do when we get to podcast like number 7 or 8, because I don't know any movies that had that many sequels that weren't Friday the 13th.
Do you expect this to go that far?
I was going to say,
I'm surprised we made it to 4.
Oh, if we get to 10, we can do Podcast X.
Is it going to have a budget of a porno?
Are we going to have to do it in space?
Maybe. I did have the soundtrack to Jupiter.
Pornos in space!
0G Jugs. I actually think that might be a real name of a porno. Anyway,
Probably.
I want to start off.
If they've got Shaving Private Ryan, then they've got them all.
Oh.
Isn't there a Ghostbusters one, too?
Yeah, this ain't
A
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
I've seen it. I enjoyed it. I lived it. Sorry. Not
This
really.
is more info than I wanted.
It's more info than anyone wanted.
Hey, when they actually, you
We've
know
gone
what?
from 3 listeners to 2.
I was gonna make a comment, but then I realized that I try to keep this censored. So,
Why?
anyway, let's start off with the WWE sucks without CM Punk.
This is becoming a segment here.
That's right. That's entrance music. I'm hoping we do hear again someday. But in the world of wrestling, I have some interesting news. If you haven't heard, Roman Reigns was rushed to the hospital today to get surgery done on a hernia. He will not be at Night of Champions this Sunday. So I'm kind of wondering how they're going to salvage that, because I think he was supposed to fight Randy Orton, right?
I think so. I think that was the match.
Randy Orton or Seth Rollins? No, he was supposed to fight Seth Rollins. Randy Orton's supposed to fight Chris Jericho.
I don't know. I can't keep track of the same 3 matches over and over again anymore.
Well, you know what? Something like this tells that the WWE might actually have to stop and think. So this could be a good
we're
thing.
doomed.
And that is why there is no hope.
But another news, and for those of you who follow Twitter, an interesting tweet was sent out, I believe it was early today, by none other than the legend known as Sting, who wrote, and I may be paraphrasing, "It's showtime, 9/22/14," which is Monday's date. So the question is Sting going to be on Monday Night Raw? And if he is, it'll probably be the best Raw we've seen in over 10 years.
See, this is the part. This is the segment that I just kind of sit here with my arms, folded and nice and quiet. Because the last time I watched wrestling, Sting was still wrestling.
Yeah, he wrestled for TNA for a while, but
Who
also,
wouldn't wrestle
But
for
nobody
TNA?
watched that.
I mean,
getting back to the porno talk. Anyway, also, but let's talk about CM Punk a little bit. I don't know if you guys heard. You probably didn't hear, but I know you probably heard about the 22-page letter CM Punk's lawyer sent to WWE about using his likeness in WWE 2K14.
Actually, no, I hadn't heard about it.
You hadn't heard about that? Apparently, he's not complaining. Like, he doesn't mind. From the way it sounded to me was he doesn't have a problem being in WWE 2K14. The problem is they're not paying him enough to be in WWE 2K14.
that does promote a problem.
But it's one of those things. I read the articles, and it's like it was CM Punk's lawyer sent a letter to WWE's lawyers, so God only knows what's really going on. So But as I've said many times before, a lot of people think, well, this means he's never coming back. You know something? I saw Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels hug in the middle of the ring. That's something you would not have made me believe 10 years ago that was ever going to happen. So in this business, never say never.
Well, just like when Bret Hart left, I mean, he spit in Vince McMahon's face.
And punched him in the eye.
And everybody said, oh, we'll never see him again.
Yeah.
He came back.
Yeah, we've seen him more in the past couple of years, and we've seen him in the last 10.
Yeah, just some of the guys that have gone their separate ways, parted on bad terms. Eventually, you have to bury that hatchet. So maybe Punk will come back. Maybe Punk won't come back. I honestly hope he does because we really do need him back.
We do. I mean, he was just so good. He made the show interesting again. And I understand the reason he left. I mean, he was unhappy. I get it. And if you're not happy with what you're doing, it's time to go home. But on the same token, and we may be beating a dead horse at this point, but he hadn't had a break in like 10 years. Like the guy, he started wrestling, he got injured. He's like, cool, I got to take a few months off. Then they said, no, you got to come in and do commentary.
It's his fault for being popular.
Well, but I feel like he needs a break. I feel like he needs to go home and recharge, and that's what he's doing. Because I remember when he was at San Diego Comic-Con, I said, what's next for CM Punk? He's just like, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. You know, I've heard he might start a podcast. The funniest part was he was hosting an award show, and he said, somebody said, oh, you ever going to wrestle again? He's like, no, never, ever, never, ever. Everybody's like, oh, see, he's never going to wrestle again. It's like, did you guys listen to that? It's like, did you actually watch that interview? He was joking. He was being a wise ass. But
CM Punk being a wise ass?
I know, right?
I've never heard of such a thing.
But that's how people take things. They're like, oh, see, he just said he's never, ever, ever, ever going to wrestle again. It's like, dude, stop. Okay? You never say never in this business.
But you know what the best part is?
What's the best part?
If he starts a podcast, he can tell everybody why the WWE sucks without him. We won't have to anymore.
We could get him to join us.
Yeah!
That'd be great.
New guest correspondent.
CM
for
Punk.
The Con Artist Podcast. CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Walking Dead enthusiast Phil Brooks.
If you are listening, and we all know you're not, but if you are, I invite you to come join our podcast, even just for one show. And you can tell the world your side of the story. But anyway, back to reality.
You guys, if he was actually on the podcast, if he was here in this little room here, it would be you two standing there going, and me sitting there saying, okay, I know who this is.
Oh, and bring AJ.
Okay, now we're gonna, and cops are gonna be involved.
Oh, no. Trust me. If he doesn't whoop our butt, she will.
No, the cops will be here to hold him back.
I felt like there was one more thing I wanted to talk about wrestling before we move on. I just don't remember what it was. Trying to think of things coming up. If you haven't seen the Hulk Hogan pop figures coming out, I'm really excited about that. I'm doing a show in November.
Somebody I know.
Yeah, I'm doing a show.
Somebody I remember fondly from my childhood.
But he's going to be at MegaFest in November, and the show we're going to be at. So I might get to meet Hulk Hogan, which could be amazing. But for somebody has already met Hulk Hogan.
And it was amazing.
Yeah, so.
But I didn't have a Hulk Hogan pop vinyl figure to have him sign.
No.
So I'm going to have to meet him again.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Macho Man?
Sadly, I did not.
He did.
Yeah, I did. Who'd you meet?
I drove you guys.
No, you didn't. You were working.
Yeah.
I
We
was
bet you
waiting
up
in the
there.
car.
Oh, you met Diamond Dallas Page.
I met DDP.
Yeah.
I think he's the only wrestler. No, yeah, it was Diamond Dallas Page. I think he's the only wrestler I've actually met.
Yeah. I met Diamond Dallas Page. I met Macho Man Randy Savage. I met Edge.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Like I said, I met Edge, and when I met Edge while I was waiting in line, it suddenly hit me. Holy crap! I'm getting the autographs, or I will have the autograph of both the Slim Jim guys, because Edge took over as a Slim Jim guy after Macho Man, so that was pretty cool.
See, back when I watched wrestling, the last time I would really watch wrestling was back when WCW was, and I didn't want to meet the
Still in
wrestlers.
existence.
Sting maybe, but I wanted to meet the Nitro Girls.
Nitro Girls. Shawn Michaels is actually married to one of them. I don't remember which one. I was
That's
always
all right. Neither does he.
there was one there.
Sorry, HBK.
There was one there. Her name was Spice. She was blonde, and that's the only reason I remember. I'm always a sucker for blondes. I can't help it. Until you meet them. The blondes are great until they start talking. At least most of them. But
And there goes another.
sorry, any blondes listening. I'm a dirty blonde myself, so I can get away with it.
No comment.
No, that kind of
Not
dirty
that
blonde.
kind of dirty.
Okay, so moving on from the WWE sucks about CM Punk, even though it will. And actually, I just had a thought. If CM Punk does come back, do we have to get rid of the segment?
Yes.
I think we can change it to CM Punk has saved WWE by returning.
Or something like that.
Or
something along those lines.
WWE doesn't suck now that CM Punk is back. Oh, that's kind of long.
There we go. I'm sure we'll think of something.
Maybe,
This is a problem I want to deal with, because that means CM Punk came back. And
wars in the Middle East.
well, last
Who
rumor
wants to
mill?
Deal with this.
Last rumor mill, last WWE thing, the rumor going around is that CM Punk's actually going to return the night Sting debuts to create this big party crash thing, which I really don't think is going to happen. However, it would be awesome.
Not if it's this Monday.
If Sting and CM Punk show up on Monday, it will be the greatest Raw since they debuted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I dare you to argue that point with me.
Oh, don't do that. It's the
The horse is still alive.
Oh.
It's the internet, okay? Doesn't matter whether they're right or not, or even if they know what they're talking about, they'll still
interweb. Oh, excuse me. All right, moving on. WWE
That
sucks.
sums
About,
that segment up.
WWE sucks about CM Punk, and unless he comes back, that's never going to change. Interweb.
same name.
What is this interweb?
Polish a turd, it's still a turd.
Yep. Okay.
It's just shiny.
I want to talk about Granite Con, but first I want to talk about a little show that we did last weekend called Park Day. I mentioned in the last podcast, there's really not a lot to tell, no cosplayers or anything like that.
Unfortunately.
It was just a show that we do every year. It's in our hometown.
A lot of yoga pants, though.
Really?
Well, you say no cosplayers, but did you check the trees to see if maybe Nicole Marie Jean was dressed up as Poison Ivy hiding out in the trees?
Yeah. Well,
Have they started to turn? Maybe there were some leaf piles. Maybe
leaves
she's
hadn't
hiding
turned
out.
yet.
That new
Yeah.
costume is something, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. But every costume she does is amazing. I mean,
That's true.
I've never seen her do a costume and be like, oh, that's terrible. I mean, she's just so talented. I mean, she's a beautiful girl too, but she's just so talented at what she does. And we could talk about Nicole Jean this whole podcast, but
We probably will.
yeah. But anyway, we did Park Day last week. It's a little show. It's not even a comic book show. It's a family outdoor festival right around the corner from where I live. We did that. We actually did extremely well there. A lot of kids shop there, and that's why we do so well. But we had a lot of outpouring of people want us to open this store.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people like, "Oh my God, you have a store?" Or the kids like, "Is there a store like this? We need to open a store."
Independent, I mean, in my opinion, because there are a lot of comic book stores out there. You can go to Newbury Comics. I have nothing against Newbury Comics. I love Newbury Comics.
Yep.
You can go to New England Comics. I'm sure there are plenty of chain comic book stores out in other areas, but I have found that if you take the time and go to the little, not so well known, hole in the wall, small comic book shops by just people who love this business and want to be part of it, you have a much better chance of finding stuff that you won't find anywhere else.
And that's true. I mean, like I said, I love Newbury Comics, but they're a little corporate, but they have great stuff. But if you're looking for something like a back issue comic or something that's hard to find, or a figure from 20 years ago, you're not going to find it there. You might have better luck in something like Toy Vault.
Yes.
I
found my Max there.
Yeah.
The Max action figure.
Well, I actually found I was actually looking for a Groot pop figure. Because my wife and I went on vacation last month, and we started a Facebook page called The Traveling Groot. That's what it's called. If you want to go follow us, we basically, every time we go out somewhere, we take Groot, we take pictures with him. But we got him at a...
Little guy gets around, too.
Yeah, he does. Nobody had Groot pop figures, and if you're listening to this, you probably know you can't find them anywhere. But the store up in Bellingham, Rubber Chicken Comics, they had one left. So we called him. He held it for us. And Rubber Chicken Comics, if you ever get a chance to check it out, like I said, it's in Bellingham, Mass. It's a great store. Really, go check them out. But they were the only ones that had it. But like I said, you wouldn't find Groot at FYE or Newbury Comics or something like that.
Right, that's the one everybody wants.
Yeah. But we were at Park Day. We did a lot of sales. Like I said, we had it was a very positive experience. A lot of people were very supportive of what we were trying to do, and very excited to see if we could open a store. And I said on the Facebook page the day after, I was like, listen, I want to thank everybody who showed love and support. I want to open up in town. If I can't, I promise I'll open up as close as I can.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And more, back to the Groot news though.
Groot.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, the new Disney Infinity. Is it still Disney Infinity? Well,
Disney Infinity.
Yeah, Disney owns Marvel. Yeah, the new Disney Infinity Avengers comes out next Tuesday. My wife's already pre-ordered it. So, yeah, that should be fun.
Next Tuesday, go, check out Target's, Toys R Us's, any of them. All right.
GameStop. Don't forget GameStop.
Like I said, I just want the figures. I really don't care about the game.
The game's actually pretty fun.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I mean, I watched her play it, but that's why she got the PS3, because of the Wii. I hate the Wii. I'm sorry. And for those of you who love the Wii, I don't want to exercise while I'm playing my games. No. I want to sit on my butt, push some buttons, and have fun.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person. I'll go out for a run. I'll work out. I don't want to. If I'm playing games, I don't want to work out. I want to play games.
Can you imagine trying to play Minecraft on the Wii?
Oh my God.
That to me, you'd end up killing yourself with a remote.
Having to hammer away the rock with your own hand, like, this is tiring. I'm done. I just built a whole freaking castle. I felt like I actually built it. Speaking of
It's a
mine,
shame we don't do a video podcast, since I think people would have really enjoyed what that just looked like, or would have been terrified by what that just looked like.
Hey, I'm not opposed to a video podcast, but we just got to get a camera. I don't want to do it with my phone.
Yeah. One phone would die, and then we'd have to okay, Brian, it's like switch to you.
We'd have to get like 2 or 3 cameras, and then like move between them, like have like different views or whatever. But anyway,
What is this, Comic Book Men?
That's something for another time. But speaking of Minecraft, though,
we can do that though. He
What?
just said Comic Book Ben.
I call not Walt.
we get a store open. We can do the podcast in the store.
Well, that was my plan.
Oh.
Well, when we
were
open
you
up a store,
going-
I would rather do this there, because we could just do it on a Saturday night or whatever.
And when were you going to discuss this with the rest of us?
Well, it's my store. I'll do whatever the hell I want.
Nice.
But speaking of Minecraft, though,
This isn't a democracy.
No corporate corruption there.
no. But speaking of Minecraft, Microsoft just purchased Mojang
Boo.
and now owns Minecraft. See, you say boo. I don't know what to say, because I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't understand what it. I understand what it means. I just don't know what it means for the game. Is it done? Is it going to keep going? Is it going to change?
I did read the article. I did read the article on the net, and I kind of forgot about it until you brought it up earlier. But the general consensus is that nobody is happy about this. In fact, I think they're more pissed than Vader over there was. But it's and I said this a little earlier before we started this. My opinion, okay, and maybe I'm wrong. People can disagree with me. I don't care.
It's the internet. They
it's
will.
The internet. They will, exactly. My opinion is, just like Disney with Marvel, just stay the hell out of it. Just let I know.
Wait and see what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's what's great. See, that's what this podcast is. It's the number one source for nothing except our opinion.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing here. If you want facts, you get more facts from Wikipedia. We're just here voicing our opinion on what we think is going on.
Actually, we're probably more accurate than Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's like going. I think Corey Taylor said it best. Trying to get facts from Wikipedia is like going to McDonald's to get a steak. Speaking of Corey Taylor, this is not nerd related, I guess, but Slipknot has a new album coming out. I'm actually really excited. If you have a chance, they just released a song a few weeks ago called "The Devil and I." Check it out; it's amazing. It's good. Well,
It's pretty great.
You've heard it?
I've heard it. I've heard it a couple of times on Octane. Yeah.
Well, they released a song before that. Crap, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Hold on. The Negative One. It was good, but I was kind of like, okay, this is Slipknot. I mean, it wasn't anything amazing. It was okay. But then they did the Devil and I, and I was like, holy crap. But I'm super excited because Corey Taylor's doing a lot of writing on this album now. And that's what makes me excited. Because Corey Taylor, and yeah, maybe we're getting off topic with comic book news, but you know what? Corey Taylor wrote a comic book. He wrote 2 books.
So it ties together.
Yeah, he's the lead singer of 2 bands, and he's the man. I mean,
He's cool.
I mean, you people are like, oh, Stan Lee at Comic-Con, that'd be great. Yeah, well, I heard Corey Taylor was at New York Comic-Con. That's my Stan Lee. I mean, the guy craps gold. I'm sorry, he's amazing. He's that guy I would totally fanboy out for. You know what I mean?
Is it jewel encrusted gold though?
Jewel encrusted gold.
Yeah, making an American Dad reference there.
See, I don't watch that crap.
Yeah, you know.
I'm
trying, damn it.
American Dad.
Yeah, somebody got it.
There's
Maybe.
our audience who apparently still watches Family Guy and all that crap. Speaking of Family Guy, I'm excited for the Simpsons Family Guy crossover.
I'm a bit nervous about it.
I feel like it's going to be the best episode of Family Guy that's come out in years.
Oh, that's not saying much.
Well, yeah.
And the best Simpsons episode that's come out in years, which, again, isn't saying much.
You know what's funny, though? I saw some of the newer episodes when they did the marathon that, yes, we all survived. Simpsons still is funny. They've been on for, 25 years? And there's some episodes I was still cracking up laughing.
Yeah, they have their moments. I mean, Family Guy has its moments. One of the biggest problems that they have, though, is just not knowing when the joke ends and stops being funny.
Exactly. But some of the stuff just drags out a little too long.
But here's my question. Okay, so Simpsons and Family Guy crossover. Okay, now back in the day, they did a whole in my day. They did a Jetsons and Flintstones crossover because they're the same kind of universe, future and past. And then Matlock showed up. But here's the thing. If you're going to do a Simpsons crossover with anything, why Family Guy? Why not Futurama?
They are doing a Futurama crossover.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming out in November. Bender is sent back in time to kill Bart Simpson.
Bring back Futurama.
Okay, that'll watch.
See, that's another thing. Speaking of Futurama, okay, you look at Family Guy, which was canceled, brought back, and is still on. Simpsons, been on forever, still funny.
20-something years.
25, 26 years now. But here's the thing. The guys who created Simpsons created Futurama. You're trying to tell me they couldn't use some of that Simpsons money to keep Futurama going?
I'm sure they could have.
But Futurama, it was canceled, then it came back.
But then Matt Groening might have to sell his solid gold toilet.
But you know something? Futurama was canceled and it came back. But when it came back, it was just as funny. It was just as good as it was before it got canceled.
Still one of my favorite Futurama lines. What time is it? Time for you to shut up.
No, mine is, let's go already. Oh, Bender.
Bender single-handedly has the best lines ever.
And you know what's funny is John DiMaggio as Bender is amazing. I hated him as the Joker. Under the Red Hood, he played the voice of the Joker, and I was like, that's not the Joker to me.
Yeah, but the Joker...
Yeah, you really can't go anywhere if it's not Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Or Troy Baker. I like Troy Baker. I think he's doing a great job. I mean, he's not Mark Hamill, but he's so close, it's creepy.
There really was no preparation for that day when you find out that Luke Skywalker is the Joker.
Young Skywalker has turned to the dark side.
You find out that he's the guy playing the Joker, and it's like, wait, as in Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker?
It's all a joke.
It's weird.
But he's so good at it. And Troy Baker, like I said, he's kind of the one who I feel like Mark Hamill kind of passed the torch on to him, and he's doing an amazing job. He played the voice of the Joker in Arkham Origins, and in that Arkham movie we were talking about where Harley Quinn got naked.
Which I still haven't seen. I gotta get.
Yeah, you haven't seen it, but he played the voice in that one, and he's doing a really good job. And speaking of which, Arkham Knight's coming out, and everybody says, okay, Joker's dead. He's not going to be in the game. I disagree. Do I think he's dead? Yeah. And by the way,
that never stopped him.
If you haven't figured it out by now, spoiler alert: he dies in Arkham City. Anyway,
what?
Here's what I think would be an awesome Arkham Knight game. Well, I think it's going to be an awesome game anyway, but here's something I would do. Okay, Joker's dead. Okay, fine. I get it. I'm not going to sob over it. Here's what I would do. Because the main villain, other than the Arkham Knight, is the Scarecrow. So if you have a point in the game where Batman gets hit with the fear toxin, and all of a sudden he hears the Joker's voice the whole time because that's what he's really scared of, is Joker coming back.
That would be cool.
That would be cool, like him having fights with himself, but it's just the Joker screwing with him. That would be a really cool game. Or even if they don't do that, just have one of Scarecrow's crazy hallucinating levels where the Joker's the main villain in that level.
Yeah.
Because you cannot tell me the Joker's not going to have any role in this game whatsoever. You cannot tell me that. And maybe I'm biased, but I'm telling you, one way or another, the Joker's going to be in this game.
Yeah, the wall behind you seems to suggest you're biased.
Because I just feel like...
I have no idea what you mean by that. I mean, you say that like there's an entire wall of Joker memorabilia and paraphernalia behind him.
Yeah,
And I just don't see it. I mean, I see a lot of stuff with a guy in clown makeup and a purple suit, but oh yeah, I guess that is the Joker. Never mind.
But look at the history of the Arkham games. Arkham City, they say, what the hell's his name? Dr. Hugo Strange. They said Dr. Hugo Strange is the main villain of this game. I was like, bullshit. It's like, you're trying to tell me the Joker's in this game and he's not the main villain? And what happened? Oh, well, you haven't played the game. You played the game.
I played the game.
Yeah,
played it.
you
I
haven't
finished it.
Yeah, you go through. It's like, no, the Joker's the main villain in this game. Arkham Origins. Spoiler alert. You think Black Mask is the main villain. Then you find out, no, it's the Joker pretending to be Black Mask. Joker's the main villain of the game. 3 Arkham games in a row, Joker was the main villain. So you're trying to tell me in Arkham Knight he's not going to be in it at all.
These video games are either going to send you a royalty check for writing their stuff, or they're going to send you a cease and desist order and tell you to shut up.
Probably the second one.
But
I've yet to see a royalty check from George Lucas for all the Star Wars contributions I've made.
oh God, I need one. I still need one from Christopher Nolan. He owes me a big check for The Dark Knight Rises. But anyway, onward though to Granite State Comic Con.
I'm still waiting for Hunt's ketchup.
Nah. But Granite State Comic Con. Dan was unable to attend, but I was able to get up there Saturday because it was the same weekend as Park Day. And Brian here was actually there all weekend.
Yep, I was there all weekend.
You couldn't have gone anyway. You're poor.
I know.
Yeah. So
Most artists are.
But
There's a reason they're called starving artists.
Yeah, that's
They can't
not a
afford to
stereotype.
eat.
But no, I was able to make it up to Granite State Comic Con on Saturday. I walked the dealer room. I was able to sit in on the Game of Thrones panel, which was really cool.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones panel was really awesome. There were some other panels throughout both days. I didn't get to the majority of them. One reason is one panel I wanted to attend was the William Forsythe Q&A.
Yeah.
I thought that would be really, really cool to sit there and hear what he has to say with all his years in the movie industry and whatnot. But they scheduled that directly opposite a cosplay panel that I wanted to be at.
Yeah.
And even wearing the Harry Potter robes, I didn't have my time turner, so I couldn't be in 2 places at once. It was horrible.
Sorry, we're just whispering amongst each other. I thought somebody turned off their microphone. I was going to yell at them. But
Don't yell at me.
but also, Gina B cosplay was there.
Gina B was there. Mickey Jagger was there.
Destiny Nicholson was there.
Destiny Nicholson was there, and she just is always fantastic. She actually, the costume she was wearing on the Saturday was just thrown together the night before.
Yeah.
I asked her, and she still has not slept in the past 7 years, I think. Johnny Ruckus was there with the Ghostbusters in New Hampshire.
Yep.
There were a lot of really great other cosplayers that didn't so much have a table, but were just out and about.
I saw 2 really good Deathstroke costumes. Oh, my beer wench. But I saw a really good. Like I said, I saw 2 really good Deathstroke costumes. There was one group there. I forget what they were called. There was a group. They were like Wizard of Oz.
Oh, the Yellow Brick Road Warriors.
Yes.
Very, very amazing original idea. They were actually in the costume contest.
Yeah.
And they, I don't remember what the category was that they won, but they did win one of the categories, which they honestly deserve.
I got a picture of them, and they walked up, and at first looking at them, and I'm trying to figure it out, because he had the witch, green face, but she had a mohawk. I couldn't figure what was going on. I heard somebody say, "Oh, Dorothy, come here." I'm like, "Oh my God, it's the Wizard of Oz!" but everybody had like their own almost. I don't know if I want to say steampunk, but they had like their own kind of twist on each character.
Yeah, it was very a very unique take,
Yes.
and it was incredible. I mean, just everything that went into pulling that whole thing together, and it was really something to see. I mean, there were a lot of really great costumes like that. Like you said, there were a couple of really great Deathstrokes. Boston's Deadpool was in attendance.
Yep.
He was actually the second cosplay panel on the Sunday. He was one of the panelists talking about it, and it's really great to hear people like him talk because they're so passionate about cosplay and about their craft and about making all of this stuff. It's just really it's so interesting and entertaining just to feel that. You can actually feel the passion that goes into everything that they do, you know?
Yeah.
The yellow brick
Road
Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They went there.
That is so disturbing, but that is genius.
It was the only one that I found really in a way disturbing was Toto. Took me several minutes to figure out that it was Toto. But I was still disturbed in the end.
See, I actually don't remember. I have to go back and look at the picture. I don't remember seeing Toto. No,
You'd remember the leather dog mask.
Maybe I did see him. But
It's hard to forget.
another favorite though was the Avon Galleon costume.
Saw the video.
Yeah, when he was trying to come through. While we were waiting in line for the Game of Thrones panel, he was walking through the hallway and tried to get through the door, and it turned into this whole big. He had to bend over, tilt his arm, tilt his head, and everybody cheered for him when he got through.
Oh yeah, everybody was enthralled with that. Everybody was like, "Is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it?" And everybody was cheering him on, like, "You can do it! Come on!"
Yeah, and it was
really great.
It was an amazing. The guy had jumpy. I don't know about. I'm so used to calling them jumpy stilts. I don't think they were jumpy stilts, but he was on stilts, and it looked like it was the Ava Unit 1. It was awesome. I mean, it was absolutely amazing.
Well, they're not designed to walk through buildings. They're designed to walk through buildings.
But I actually took a video of him trying to get through that door. It's on Maestro65 on YouTube, the same channel you find these podcasts on. So check it out if you get a chance. It's like maybe 38, 50 seconds long or something like that, but you should check it out.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm trying to think of. I saw some really great costumes there. I'm trying to process all of them. I saw a really good Bombshell Harley costume.
Yeah, she was great. And Traveling Groot managed to get in there and get his
Yep.
picture with her.
Traveling Groot was able to meet her close up. Also, we got a picture of this girl. I don't remember her name. She actually liked the page. She's from Chicago, I believe. But she dressed up as Baby Groot in the pot, and I was able to get a picture of her holding our Groot pop figure. So, very good costume. Oh God, I'm trying to remember. There were so many.
There were a ton, and there were a lot of Game of Thrones themed costume because Granite Con this year decided to go with Game of Thrones as the theme. So I mean, there were Arya Starks everywhere. Because, spoiler alert, she's one of the only ones still alive.
Yeah, Jon Snow, I think.
Jon Snow, who would say first and foremost that he is not a Stark. Sansa's still alive. Bran and Rickon are still alive.
Tony's still alive.
Who?
Tony.
Tony Stark is still alive.
Oh, this guy. But Tyrion Lannister. There was a girl there dressed up as him.
Yes, and that was all handmade and very fantastic.
Yes.
I managed to get a picture with Tyrion at the end. She also won in the costume contest for a category. I think it might have been the master level prize. I think she won. Best in show, of course, went to Misa Cosplay, who has now retired from competing at Granite Con. She's going to be judging next year.
Really?
She decided to give other people a chance, which is only fair.
Yeah.
That's somebody they should get for one of the shows, like Rhode Island or something. The guy who actually played Tyrion Lannister. That'd be cool.
He's starring in Game of Thrones, and he just started in X-Men: Days of Futures Past. I don't think his career's slowing down anytime soon.
If they were able to get Peter Dinklage, I don't know, they'd have to invent more hours in the day or more days in the week. Or
yeah, Granite Con would turn into a 4-day show.
Well, they tried that with Boston this year. They made that a 3-day show.
Yeah. I'm a little
Don't
curious
know how that went.
Well, you didn't even make it the first day, right?
No, I didn't even make it the first day. I got stuck in so much traffic that it was easier to turn around and go home because I wouldn't have made it there before close on the first day.
Well, I don't, like the first day was like weird hours. It was like 2 to 9 or something like that. It was open in the afternoon, I think.
Yeah, it opened in the afternoon. Early admission for VIP people. Early admission only on the Friday, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Granite Con for VIP passes had an hour early admission both days. But
I know Rhode Island does that too.
Rhode Island does that. TerraCon I think did that, but I didn't have that special access for TerraCon. I don't think.
Yeah. I'm trying to think though, because GraniteCon, I saw a lot of Deadpools. You know what's cool about the 2 Deathstrokes I saw? I saw one who almost looked like an original, like he just made his own version of Deathstroke, and then there was one who was almost like Arrow accurate Deathstroke, like the Manu Bennett Deathstroke costume, like perfect. I got a picture of him with Traveling Groot as well. But I'm actually working on my own Deathstroke costume. Hopefully I'll have pictures of that for Rhode Island Comic Con, but we'll see. Throat's dry. But yeah, so but you were there the second day. Anything interesting happened on the second day?
I feel like I missed so much on the second day. It's a lot of the same from Saturday. I mean, the panels were different. Like I said, there was a cosplay panel that interfered with the William Forsythe panel,
Yeah.
and honestly, if you have to make me choose between the two, I'm going to choose cosplay over a celebrity because I have more passion for that than
Yeah.
even a fantastic actor like William Forsythe. But the Image Comics panel was pretty interesting at the start of the day on Sunday.
Really?
I feel like the first panels get the short end of the stick because they don't seem to draw the crowd. People are still getting in, they're still getting settled.
Yeah.
You get like these small, kind of intimate crowds. And again, it's just one of those situations where it's really interesting to hear these people talk about something that they're so passionate about. And the fact Image Comics is really so intimate. It's not like Marvel or DC where you have 80 different people that all have to be on the same page and you have to please every single one of them. You have the artist and the writer collaborating to get their product across, and it's just really cool to see these guys talk about that and talk about their projects that they're working on. The one that really stood out to me was Jason Howard was talking about a new book that he's working on. It's actually the 5th issue just came out this past Wednesday. It's called Trees. I hope I'm getting that right. It's an alien invasion story, but it's not your typical alien invasion story. It's not aliens come down, start some stuff, and war breaks out.
Yeah.
These giant monolithic ships come down and just sit there. And a lot of the story seems to be more about people reacting to what do they want?
Yeah.
You know, where do they come from? What do they want? What are they doing here? Rather than we've got to fight this.
Yeah.
You know, they're coming here to take everything from us, and we've got to fight back. It's not that type of invasion story, and it stood out to me as something very interesting.
They must be getting ready to build a hyperspace express lane through your planet.
Why not? But you know what? Speaking of Image
No,
Comics,
the dolphins seem to all still be there. Bees weren't leaving, so.
Speaking of Image Comics, though, I don't know if you watched it. I know you watched it. It was a fan film done. I think it was only like 10 minutes long of Spawn.
Yes, that was really good.
I have not seen it. I've seen postings for it, but I haven't taken
Watch
the time
it.
to sit down and watch.
I mean, Spawn's not in it a lot. It's like a little 10-minute thing. It's like this woman and her child go to this store, and some demons are trying to trick this kid into taking off his necklace, and then Spawn shows up, and Spawn looks incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, this little movie was 100 times better than the Spawn movie that came out back in 97 or 98.
That's another bar that was set pretty low, but
But
it's one of those things that fan films. It's another one of those situations where people really take a very severe interest in it, and they try to deliver a product that they'll be happy with.
yeah.
And I think that effort really translates well into other people that are going to be interested in it.
Well, what I found interesting was it's only like 10 minutes long, but it took him 2 years to put in all the digital effects, and it looks amazing. Like if they made it almost looks like if they took the Spawn movie and Constantine,
Yeah.
mixed them together. And I feel like that would be an amazing movie.
see, being someone who I was big into. I haven't read a Spawn comic in years, but I used to read the comics, and I watched both the animated series and the movie back when they were out.
Yeah.
I have to say they were doing better with the animated series. I liked the animated series. It
Yeah.
was very well done. It followed, I didn't read the comics well enough to know if it followed exactly, but it seemed to follow the story of the comic, and they got the characters right.
Yes.
The movie,
movie was all about making money.
well, that was just it.
Basically, yeah.
I think the movie, basically Hollywood came in and said, hey, we want to make a Spawn movie, and okay, we're going to throw Michael Jai White in there, we're going to throw John Leguizamo in there, we're going to throw, yeah, what's
You got to be more Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen, yes.
Thank you.
But you know what the funny thing is?
Charlie's dad.
Michael Jai White as Spawn didn't bother me.
No,
He did a good job.
I thought he
The
did.
problem
John
is,
Leguizamo did a good job.
the problem is, one of the things that really bugged me about that was his cape was retractable.
The cape is such a huge part of the character. You can't
Yeah.
really. You get Spawn jumping around doing all kinds of martial arts effects with machine guns blazing and all this other stuff. But if the cape's not there and the chains aren't there, it's really kind of like,
What's the point?
what is this?
I mean, I'm assuming you both have seen the movie plenty
Yes.
of times.
Spoiler alert, it sucked. Sorry.
But you know something? What kind of, I'd have to say the big thing that kind of, it was the token scenes that they did, like they did like the whole part where the whole like Yoda training Luke thing where he's teaching him how to use his powers and how to use his chains, and then he doesn't really do anything with them.
Like, just forgets that they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said the retractable cape. That wasn't a big fan of that, and I know it was back in the '90s.
Yes.
That cape looked horrible.
Well,
yeah.
well,
All the special effects in that movie were 90s
special effects. Yeah.
You know, it was the digital age hadn't come to a level yet where if they delivered that movie today, the cape would probably be a talking snowman. I don't know.
But I mean, the thing about the comic though, and I feel like the cape, the cape changed sizes. Like if he was fighting, it would spread out and rip up a bit, but it was still there.
But I've read the comic, and granted, I haven't read the comic recently, but from what I remember of the early comic, that cape never turned into a motorcycle, and it never turned into a battering ram.
No, it didn't.
All right? Remember the scene in the movie where he's up on top of randomly up on top of the church and everything with the cape all over the place?
Yeah.
There you go. All they did was throw that in there because it was in the comic.
Right, the token scene to show, hey, this is what this could have been, but we're not going to do that.
But you know what the funny thing is? Had they done that movie with the cape constantly there, it would have looked like that. And it didn't, like you said, it didn't look that great. But you said, that was a different digital age.
If they tried to deliver it today,
It'd be so much better.
I think the cape would look better. But that was a story that was just so weak
Yeah.
that if they delivered that exact movie with today's technology, it would still really suck.
Well, if they did that story, I know Todd McFarlane is pushing to get another Spawn movie, a Spawn reboot,
Yeah.
and I hope he does. And get this kid to direct it. I don't know his last name was Paris. That's all I know.
He was
Look
from
it up.
Paris, too. He's from.
Yeah, look it up. I don't know what it's called, but it's a Spawn fan film. And I think it just released. It is amazing. I mean, the effects in it are awesome. The way Spawn's voice is really good.
And we can't forget Dr. Claw as Malbosia. Okay.
Next time, Gadget.
Yeah.
Next. Oh, sorry,
Frank
wrong story.
Welker.
I'll get you next time, Spawn.
And let me first of all, Frank Welker. A lot of people don't know Frank Welker. He did the voice.
He did the voice of Stitch.
He did the voice of
Yeah.
Stitch in the old cartoons. He did the voice of Fred and Scooby for a while there.
But
He
He's done
also
the voice-
Megatron.
yeah,
Megatron, Soundwave, Dr. Claw.
Every time they needed a voice, they called Frank Welker. He
he-
actually was the voice of Galvatron in the new Transformers movie.
Yeah, the original the second Ninja Turtle movie, he was the voice of Toka and Reza.
That doesn't surprise me.
He's known for doing his creature effects, and he's a fantastic voice artist. But that movie still sucked.
We're talking about Spawn, right?
Yes.
We just went through a whole list of good movies, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, which movie sucked? But
I lost track.
My army. Like, yeah, okay, fine.
yes, anything for Wanda. Anyway,
Yeah.
um,
John Leguizamo was still great though.
I like John Leguizamo. He was an interesting choice for clown, but see, that's another thing. He turned into Violator. I felt like at least in the cartoon series, he didn't transform. He kind of like ripped his skin off and became, So,
like they stuffed.
but I feel like there's a lot of things they did in the comic that they'd done in the movie, it would have changed the rating and whatnot.
But and that's one of the hold on one second. That's one of the reasons why the animated series got canceled is because the budget after the movie flopped. The budget dropped and they didn't want to do the animated series anymore.
The animated series is doing well.
They did a great job.
So, bam.
Well, the animated series is actually what brought I was going to say something else, but brought the movie about. But that's part of the problem with the movies. They were pandering to the rating to get the widest audience possible, and I want to use that to segue into the fact that the Deadpool movie has been greenlit.
Yes.
And the very strong leading rumor on that is it's going to be PG-13. Great. Except for the fact that Deadpool is not a PG-13 character.
No, he's not.
In the terms of the violence, and the MPAA is not going to let them get a PG-13 rating without toning down.
Well, here's the problem. I read this article a few months ago. Basically, the problem with the Deadpool movie is here's what they do. You can do it rated R with a small budget, or you can do it PG-13 with a big budget. I feel that with a PG-13 rating, is it possible to make it a good movie?
I think it's possible.
I think they need to really, and I almost hate to say this with a Deadpool script, but I feel like they really need to work. Like they really need to. Okay, we have to, if we can't swear and have all this blood and gore, fine. But if you remember the footage, the test footage, he didn't really swear and it wasn't really gory, but it was still hilarious.
Yeah, the test footage was great, and if they managed to take that test footage and turn it into a 90-plus minute movie, go for the gold ring, go for 2 hours or so.
Yeah.
I mean, now is the time to do it and do it right.
Yes.
And that's the important part of it is do it right. You can make a PG-13 Deadpool movie and make it good, but you have to try and you have to do it right.
Well, here's the thing. All right. Something that they've done with a lot of the Marvel movies that I think they really need to, especially with this movie, don't do it. Well, there's a lot of things they need to don't do, but and this is like think about like the first Hulk movie. Think about the original.
Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah, Ang
Do we
Lee's
have
Hulk.
to?
Let's not talk about that. I like not thinking about that as much as possible.
Think about a lot of the first draft Marvel movies.
Yeah.
They focused so much on the origins, how this happened. Don't do that with Deadpool, okay? It's everybody who loves the character is going to know the character. Don't.
Well, that's just it. His origin. I feel like Deadpool's origins, and I almost hate to say it, but I feel like Deadpool's origins really aren't important.
No, and I mean, we had X-Men Origins Wolverine to screw up Deadpool's origins. So
yeah.
let's not screw up his origin again. Let's just get into the story. I mean, for some characters, it's more interesting to see how they became what they are. The Matrix, where you see Neo become the one, is more interesting than Neo as the one.
Exactly.
Yeah, they didn't have to do the whole second and third movie.
No, they really didn't. If they had left it at the first one, that would have been fantastic. But Hollywood wants money, and so does everybody else.
I want money.
But we've seen...
Can I make a crappy movie and get enough money to open my store? Anyway.
I think we definitely could.
Yeah.
I feel like, though, we've seen Peter Parker become Spider-Man so many times that we don't need to see how he became Spider-Man anymore.
Yeah.
We just want to see Spider-Man flinging webs and kicking butt.
And wisecracking.
Yeah.
We don't need to see how Wolverine became the adamantium skeletoned badass that he is.
Yeah.
We just want to see Wolverine
as a badass.
whip one-liners and kick ass.
And we don't need to hear great power, great responsibility ever again.
No.
No, that's been said enough times that we don't need it anymore. Just like Tobey Maguire dancing down the street.
But
like a goon.
but look at
We just don't need we don't need that anymore.
But you know what? Look at the Hulk. Like Hulk was all origin and it sucked.
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk. They summed up the origin in the beginning credits.
It was the opening credits, exactly.
Yeah. So when the movie starts, oh, I'm already the Hulk. I'm just hiding out in Mexico, trying not to get found. That was great.
The original Spider-Man movies was 3 movies of Peter Parker whining. The first Hulk movie was an entire movie of Eric Bana whining.
Well, there was, 2.5, maybe 3 minutes of the Incredible Hulk actually doing stuff.
Oh, and Hulk?
I don't know. I've fallen asleep trying to watch it so many times,
He-
waiting for the Hulk to show up that I
Steroid
have no
Shrek.
idea what actually happened in that movie.
He beat up some dogs.
Steroid Shrek.
I've already seen Shrek. Shrek 4 was better than the Hulk.
Oh.
But he beat up some dogs, and at the end, he finally goes hulking out, and he just attacks the military. Then he has a fight with what they were trying to make Abomination, which was a total abomination.
Yeah.
But like I
Mission
said,
accomplished.
but I feel like
Irony.
the Incredible Hulk was a really good movie.
Yeah.
But then again, like look at Thor.
Except for Edward Norton.
Anyway, look at Thor. The first, it really wasn't an origin story about Thor. I mean, when the movie started, he was already Thor. I mean, he was kind of a whiny brat Thor who kind of gained his humility, but he was still Thor.
Yeah.
But in the middle, he loses his powers, and it's like, really, we're gonna do that? But then in the second one, in Avengers, he was amazing.
But you know something? Honestly, the Deadpool movie,
Deadpool.
I think they need to do it very similar to the way they did the Deadpool video game. That game rocked.
It was great.
And I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be really funny if he knew he was in a movie.
Oh, that's exactly the script that's out.
That's an important part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he knows he's going to be in a movie, and I heard he's actually going to make reference to the Wolverine Origins movie.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Which would be fantastic. I mean, he has to really play on both sides of that fourth wall. Because that is Deadpool. Like, hey, I'm on a comic book cover.
This is a cult character. This
It
is
is.
a character that has this character has more following than Jesus. All right.
And deservedly so.
And deservedly
And more
so.
superpowers.
Yeah. If they screw this up, this isn't a screw it up and then do a reboot. This
And
is
I'm
This
sorry.
is you will be publicly
Executed.
yeah.
exactly
But you know what the thing
by
is too?
people wearing Deadpool suits.
And there are people who will disagree with me, but like I said, this is our opinion, or my opinion at least. Ryan Reynolds has to play Deadpool.
He's got the attitude, he's got the
Yes.
swagger, he's got the mouth for it.
Well, the thing is, they said that he may not be playing Deadpool now, because for years, they said, oh yeah, if we make a movie, he's Deadpool. Then over the past year, they've been saying, well, he's not attached anymore, he may not play it. Then they greenlit it yesterday, and the article said, no contract has been signed, but it'll probably be Ryan Reynolds. I was like, no, it has to be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. This is something you cannot afford to screw up.
Because, just talk about X-Men Origins Wolverine for a second.
Do we have to?
Okay,
Yes.
Deadpool in that movie was an abomination that never should have happened. However,
What, Weapon 11? The Deadpool?
Yeah.
I didn't know we were watching a Clint Eastwood movie during this.
but at the beginning, when Ryan Reynolds is Wade Wilson, that was perfect. Like that first thing.
Okay, people are dead.
The attitude was perfect.
And that's just well, I love it. Like even Wolverine would be like, "Don't you ever shut up?" It was like, "Don't you ever shut up?" It's like, "Not when I'm awake." It's just like, "Thank you, sir." The blue really brings out the niceness of your eyes. He just wouldn't shut up, and he was just perfect.
Yeah.
It was
That's
the
Deadpool.
I remember I
I'm
wasn't
gonna
even.
home play the game now.
Well, you know what's funny is when I saw X-Men Origins Wolverine, I didn't know a lot about Deadpool at the time, but I knew enough that when I heard Ryan Reynolds was playing Deadpool, I was like, perfect. And just from what I saw, I'm like, that's Deadpool. Then when I saw that what they did to him at the end, I'm like, what is that?
That is not Deadpool.
That's
What
more
have
like
you done?
that's like if Omega Red and Deadpool had a baby. And it was raised by wolves. I mean, I don't know what that was, but it wasn't Deadpool.
You know what would be perfect in the
Let's give him all these mutant powers and sew his mouth shut because the merc with a mouth doesn't need to talk.
No.
But you know, it'd be really, really funny. All right, and I guarantee you, this would just make the movie. In the Deadpool movie, they need to have this one part and everything where Deadpool, for whatever reason, just kind of just randomly reaches up, pulls down a thing, and shows the Deadpool from X-Men Origins, and be like, "See that? That's not me."
It could even even be the way to open it. Like, hey there, I'm Wade Wilson. People call me Deadpool. I call me Deadpool too. Not sure why. Pull down the banner. That's not Deadpool.
I don't know what that
And
is.
then let it roll back up.
But that ain't me.
He didn't have laser eyes. He didn't have an adamantium skeleton. He didn't have swords that came out of his fists.
Friggin' swords, man.
There are
That's
versions.
like nipples on a bat suit.
I will say this: the teleport didn't bother me because even in the game, he said, "I have a teleporter." He's like, "All right, we'll keep the teleport." No, I would almost get into the similarities between Slade Wilson and Wade Wilson, but we don't need the
Similarities? What?
we don't need the podcast to be that long. We'll talk about that another time. But I don't know. I'm excited for the new Deadpool movie. When I posted the article on The Hunt, what I wrote was one word: finally.
Yeah.
It's coming out February of 2016, which means it's going to start filming pretty soon.
Right before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect date movie.
Yeah.
And considering,
absolutely.
Huh.
Hey, you lovebirds. Want to watch me kill some people? Great.
Hey, I took my girlfriend to see the Wolfman for Valentine's Day one year. So
current or ex?
current.
Current. Okay.
That was
Dude,
yeah.
you know what my wife and I's first date was?
What's
I
that?
thought we were talking about which wolf man.
Oh snap! No, my wife and I's first date was Jackass number 2.
See, that's how you know you have a keeper.
Ah, romance.
If you can take your girlfriend to see an X-Men movie or a werewolf movie or a Jackass movie or something like that, and she sticks around for Valentine's Day, mind you, that is someone you keep.
My wife hates Valentine's Day. But you know what the funny thing I've learned is all women will say that.
She's his shapoopy.
They'll say, "Oh, I hate Valentine's Day." Guys, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
This podcast is called A New Hope. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Listen to Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. When they say, "No, you don't have to do anything for my birthday. No, we don't have to do anything for Valentine's Day." It's a test.
Yes. Don't
Do
ever-
something. Bring flowers, bring candy, bring chocolate, take them out to dinner. If you say, "Oh, you didn't want to do anything," it's a trap.
Yeah. And it's one that you
will never live down either.
yeah.
Do whatever you want. Abort mission.
Let's put it this way. Everybody remembers what condition the Emperor and Darth Vader were in at the end of Return of the Jedi. They will be lucky compared to you.
It's like falling over and your crotch landing on a bear trap. Don't do it. Anyway.
That was one time.
I didn't want
And it
that
was an
visual.
accident.
Accidente. But
Oh.
something we do
accidente.
need to discuss, because it premiered since the last podcast. Peter Capaldi as the new Doctor.
The attack eyebrows. Could take bottle tops off with those eyebrows.
I love him.
I do too. He's good.
He's fantastic.
I think he's awesome. He reminds me of if David Tennant's dad became the Doctor.
Well, actually, his father-in-law was the Doctor.
Well, yes. But you know what's
Irrelevant.
But you know what's funny is people, like, I know a lot of people, and this would have still been awesome. A lot of people would have said that Hugh Laurie as a Doctor would be amazing. I feel like Peter Capaldi is what
Hugh Laurie should have been. Wouldn't have
Exactly.
been.
would have been if he was the Doctor.
I don't know that he could have pulled it off.
Who, Hugh Laurie?
Hugh Laurie. I mean, Peter Capaldi, from the moment he first appears out of the TARDIS to shush Strax, that moment alone is like, all right, I kind of like this guy. I want to see more from him. And then the green one and the not green one, and can't keep Clara and Strax straight because they're both short.
Well, you know, my favorite line from him so far is in the Robin Hood episode, where Robin Hood goes, "Ha ha ha ha," and the Doctor's like, "Do people usually punch you in the face when you do that?" "Not as of yet." "Well, then it's a good thing I'm here."
How about the fact that he won that duel with a spoon?
Yes. How many people? I'm waiting for that costume to show up at Comic-Con with a spoon.
It almost happened to GraniCon.
Mm.
But I had already stated I wasn't doing any Doctor Who themed costume at GraniCon.
Really?
For the few people that actually like my cosplay page, I had stated that I wasn't doing a Doctor Who costume. It was the first convention I've been to where I have not done any character from Doctor Who.
Really?
It was a bit weird.
Did you have the sonic screwdriver with you?
I did not.
Oh, really?
However, I did have a wand on day 2 and a sword on day 1.
And for those of
I
you who
almost packed a spoon just to be safe.
and for those of you who aren't following him, it's Shiny Doctor Cosplay on Facebook. Follow him. He does a great job.
Great
Oh,
costumes.
you're making me blush.
Great costumes done by him, and he takes a lot of pictures when he goes to cons.
Well, actually, he doesn't
I
take a lot
really
of pictures.
Don't.
I had to take
it
pictures.
depends on the convention, because twice now I've been to Granite Con, which is a really, really great convention. Double Midnight Comics does a great job putting that on.
You took a few pictures.
I
Well,
took a few pictures.
I had to take a few of him, but
Really didn't take that many pictures. 2 years in a row now, I have left that convention and looked at the pictures I've taken and gone, what happened? Where was my camera for all of this?
well, I can imagine though it's probably hard to take pictures of yourself.
Well, yeah, but
Unless you're about to get murdered. What, you're not getting my Kara reference? Alright. At TerraCon, because obviously nobody at all is getting this. At TerraCon, when there were all the Jasons and Freddys and Michael Myers walking around, my wonderful, beautiful, great-smelling girlfriend, Kara,
Yeah.
who only on occasion walks into glass doors,
Okay.
decided she wanted to take a selfie with Jason or Michael Myers or Freddy
Slitting her throat.
about to be killed,
Yeah.
but first let me take a selfie.
Yeah.
Now that's explained. We can move on.
Yes. Okay. All right. But I also watched the episode. If you all saw last week's episode, y'all.
Y'all saw last week's
I
episode.
don't remember the name of the episode. It was the one he was talking about. What if you're not alone when you're actually alone?
hold on, I missed last week's episode.
Really, you son of an Arabian basketball whore.
I got nothing
Son
on that
son of a what? Son of a motherless goat?
Really? You haven't watched last week's episode yet?
No, I missed it, and that was. I honestly, you know something, and it's funny because we were actually talking about it, my girlfriend and I, and we realized that what? We realized that we got so used to it not being on, and now suddenly it's back, and it's like we got to remind ourselves that Saturday.
Timing has been really inconvenient. I think every episode this series or season that I've watched has been a replay of the episode, a rerun of the episode later in the night.
Hell, look at tonight. We were doing this podcast and it aired. Luckily I DVR'd it, so when we're done we can go watch it if we want. But somebody hasn't seen last week's episode. But I don't know. I think
You missed so much. It was the best episode so far.
it was a little slow, but just what happened was like, oh my god, really? Excuse me.
And that's about all we can say about that.
I've been watching, you know, it's funny, I've been watching the people. He's generally been well accepted. I mean, there's a few haters out
Well,
there.
there's a few people like, oh, he's too old to be the Doctor. I was like, well, you obviously have no idea who the Doctor is.
The door is that way.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, 2,000 years old. I mean, it's like before you go say anybody out there who thinks he's too old, go look up William Hartnell.
Yes, the first Doctor. The
Yeah.
man without whom none of this would have been possible.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Back in the good old days.
Back
No.
when you actually had to get up to change your
You
channel.
know what I found though? Some of the
I
older
still have to get up to change my channel.
people who watched the original Doctor Who when they were kids, they don't realize that the new series is the same series.
Yeah.
Everybody says, "Oh, that new series." It's like, no, it's the continuation from the same show you watched.
That's why
They brought it back.
It's not a reboot. It's not different. It's a continue. Everything that you watched happened.
There's still people, believe it or not, because I've gone on a couple of Doctor Who forums. There are still people who don't want to count. Oh my God,
John
I can't,
Hurt.
No, Paul McGann. They still don't like the movie. They don't want to count.
That was
him as a-
almost Jim Carrey.
Really?
I don't want.
Jim Carrey was offered. This is a little known. Well, I say little known, but some people know this fact. Some people don't. One of my other friends actually shared it on Facebook recently through a site called Uber Facts.
Yeah.
When the Doctor Who movie in 1996, before that premiered, when it was still in the pre-production stage, Jim Carrey was offered the role of the Eighth Doctor. Jim Carrey knew nothing about Doctor Who, had never watched the series, nothing about it. Turned down the role for one simple reason.
What's that?
He did not feel that people would accept the Doctor being played by somebody who was not from the UK.
Yeah.
And I feel like he turned that down for all the right reasons. He didn't
Yes.
know anything about the source material, and he didn't feel like it should be played by an American actor.
And I can respect that.
Even though it was it was an attempt to cross it over to American shores. and get the series started up again after Sylvester McCoy's time,
Yeah.
I feel like he turned it down for the right reasons, and then Paul McGann got cast, and
Paul McGann did a
people
great
want
job.
more.
I've never seen the movie. I want to watch it at some point. I've never actually seen the movie though.
You've never actually seen it?
No, I've just never had a chance
Even
to.
during the 50th anniversary when they were doing the Doctors Revisited, you didn't watch the movie?
I didn't get a chance
The
to.
full movie is on YouTube.
YouTube isn't it on Netflix?
No.
I don't believe it is. It might be...
On Hulu or?
I was going to say it might be on Hulu, but I'm not even sure it's on Hulu. A lot of the old episodes are for anybody that wants to watch the William Hartnell era, the Patrick Troughton era, the
Yep.
John Pertwee era. I can keep going, but I'm not going to. A lot of the episodes, there's like almost 500 episodes still available on Hulu, and it's really great to watch. I'm actually going back through them myself right now, watching a lot of the classic Doctors and going, I need to do this costume at some point.
I've been going back and watching all the Tom Baker episodes. It's like I've only seen a couple, and I got to tell you,
Tom Baker is still my favorite. Tom Baker is my Doctor.
he's crazy.
He's the guy I started with. He's the guy that scarf alone was a companion.
Yeah.
Regardless of everybody else that he traveled with. And don't get me wrong, I love Liz Sladen to death. Much like Macho Man, may she rest in peace.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Peter Capaldi's first episode as the Doctor, when he has, for anybody who hasn't seen it, he has this really, really great scene in the alleyway where he's talking to a homeless guy, and he's like, have you seen this face before? Look at the eyebrows, the attack eyebrow scene. The man acting opposite him in that scene is Elizabeth Sladen's widower. Off the top of my head, I can't think of his name. I really wish I could. But just to have that little tie-in, that little known tie-in, was really incredible. And the fact that they were able to kind of pay tribute to her that way.
Well, I feel like Doctor Who's famous for that. Like the episode The Doctor's Daughter, the girl who played her was
David
the Doctor's daughter.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Georgia Moffat is the daughter of Peter Davison, the Fifth Doctor.
Yes.
Anyone, again, for the one or two of you listening, if you don't know who Elizabeth Sladen is, she was the Doctor's longest running companion, and some say greatest companion. Well, I can't even say longest running anymore because
Sarah
if you
Jane
put everything
Smith.
in perspective. But yes, Sarah Jane Smith.
Yeah.
One of if not the best companions that ever traveled with the Doctor.
She got to meet that Doctor, and she got to meet Tom Baker.
Yep.
She got to work with Tom Baker. She got to did she work with Peter Davison?
No, she did not work with Peter Davison. She did work with John Pertwee, the Third Doctor.
Yes, I remember
And
that.
she also got to work opposite David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, and Matt Smith.
But not in Doctor Who. It was in
her
Sarah
own
Jane.
spin-off series, The Sarah Jane Adventures,
Yes.
which also featured Finn Jones in an episode. I don't remember the title of it off the top of my head. Finn Jones, for Game of Thrones fans, is Sir Loras Tyrell, the Knight of Flowers.
Yeah.
Has his own interests when it comes to romantic involvement.
Yeah.
But really, really nice guy, really, really funny guy, really nice actor, but again, also a nice little tie-in between Game of Thrones and Doctor Who, because when you're dealing with the UK and actors, you got 5 sets and 12 actors, and they all work together on just about everything.
Yeah.
I have to say, I mean, like him or hate him, I think they made a good choice for the new Doctor.
I love his wit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right there, quick with the one-liner, quick with the seriousness, quick with the funny. I got the chance to talk to a couple of the artists who work on the Doctor Who comics, Blair Shedd and J.K. Woodward, who have both done all kinds of work with Doctor Who and just do amazing work. Unfortunately, I did not. This was at Granite Con.
Yeah.
They were guests in attendance. So was Matthew Dow Smith, who does a lot of work with Doctor Who.
Wait, what did you just say?
Matthew Dow Smith, yeah.
Matthew
Picture
Dow Smith.
being named Matt Smith.
Yeah.
And then finding out that the 11th Doctor was going to be played by Matt Smith.
And you work on the
And he
comic.
actually saw that at like 3 o'clock in the morning on no sleep and a ton of coffee, working on a comic book before the deadline, and it was announced Matt Smith is the Doctor, and he took a minute and went, wait, what? Run that by me again? But I didn't get to talk to him. I did get to talk to J.K. Woodward and Blair Shedd, both fantastic artists. And I asked them their opinion of Peter Capaldi, because I had talked to J.K. previously, and I know that his favorite Doctor prior to a couple weeks ago was Chris Eccleston, who was the
Yeah.
Ninth Doctor, and who did a really great job, but
Only one season.
only
but
did one season. There was a lot going on there that would take too long to get into. And he said that Peter Capaldi is quickly becoming his favorite Doctor, his new
Yeah.
favorite. And I feel like that seems to be the response from a lot of people.
It's different. And I think that's what's cool. You look at Eccleston, Tennant, and Matt Smith, and Peter Capaldi is different than all of them. Like Matt Smith, he was different than David Tennant, but when I saw him, I was like, I can kind of see a little bit of Tennant in him. He's younger than Tennant, but he has that kind of young and witty David Tennant. Peter Capaldi is, like I said, he's different from all of them.
Well, it was an old thing that I've seen it as a meme a few times on Facebook where it shows William Hartnell, and it's like he was the young Doctor pretending to be old.
Yeah.
And then you have Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor, at the time the oldest the Doctor had been, as an old Doctor trying to be young.
Yes.
And then there's the meme where they show Eccleston, Tennant, and Smith, and Chris Eccleston is the Tiger. David Tennant is the Tigger, a bit more whimsical, and then Matt Smith is the uncoordinated house cat tripping over the furniture and pretending he did it on purpose.
Yes.
There's a new one coming out that people seem to be sharing a lot that includes Peter Capaldi as Grumpy Cat. And I feel like in a way that kind of fits, but it doesn't capture the snark and the sass that he seems to have resurrected from Chris Eccleston.
I feel like this is the Doctor who's finally come to. This is me. I'm acting my age. You know, he's the culmination of this is where I am now, and he knows it.
Yeah, he's seen and done so much that it's just...
Because in the trailer, and I haven't seen the episode, I don't know if they've aired it or not, but I haven't seen the episode yet where he says, I'm over 2,000 years old, I've done a bunch of bad things, and it's time I start making up for it.
Wasn't that in either the very end of the first one or some point in the second one? I swear I've seen
I know
it in
the
an
part
episode.
where he says, we're going into darkness was the second one.
He does say it in that, but I feel like at either the very end of his first episode as the Doctor or somewhere in the second episode, I feel like he says that line about being over 2,000 years old and making a lot of mistakes.
I don't remember.
I almost feel like it's there.
I'll have to go back. But,
It's at the end of the episode Into the Dalek, which I think was the third episode. Or was it? No,
that was
the
second episode.
Second episode.
But I
remember
him saying we're going into darkness. And I was like, okay.
At the end of that episode, after dealing with going into the Dalek, dealing with everything that gets dealt with in that episode, he looks at Clara and says, "Am I a good man?"
Well, yeah, I remember that. I remember him asking if I'm a good man, and then she says, "I don't know," but then at the end she says, "I don't know, but I think you try to be, and that's what's important."
Like I said, I just can't wait to see. They've never, in all the time I started watching with Eccleston, and from Eccleston to Tennant to Smith, they have not disappointed.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's doing a great job. But one more thing I do want to talk about though before we sign off here is the comic that we are currently working on. Amply titled.
Yes, I'm interested to hear about this.
There's a comic book that, and don't get your hopes up. It's not something you want to take too seriously, as it's not a very serious comic.
Yeah, trust me when I say, when they, I hopefully this is going to premiere by the end of October. And if you take this seriously, you're your own, you're out of luck.
Well, if you go on our website, onthehuntcomics.com, you'll find in the FOE19 Studios section, there's this cartoon that we made years ago called Twitch. There were, I believe, 8 or 9 episodes.
Yeah.
Basically, what the comic we're doing is a continuing story of this character, Twitch, with some other side characters. It is called
Things That Go Bump in the 9 to 5.
Yes. Basically, you live in a world. Well, maybe not you, but the way this comic works is
you're revealing far too much about my hidden identity.
But this character, who is basically he's basically a gremlin.
Yeah, we're kind of calling him a gremlin.
Yeah, I mean he's not. We're not talking about the little creatures you feed after midnight and get wet and they multiply. He's a green creature.
That'd be a great joke to throw in there.
But anyway, he's this green creature. He has a big scar on his chest, which we'll explain in the comic. Basically, you live in a world where creatures like a Twitch, the Grim Reaper, there's a character called Little Voodoo, who's a voodoo doll.
Yep.
We have a character called Cindy, who's a devil girl. These kind of creatures exist in this world, and people just don't care. I mean, it doesn't. It's not like the Grim Reaper showed up and people are like, "Oh my God, it's the Grim Reaper." People just don't care. Hey, look, it's the Grim Reaper.
Anybody who's watched any anime or Adventure Time will understand.
Yeah, and the cool thing, well, Grim Reaper, who we haven't had like right now, we just call him Little Reaper. He's short, like he's probably 2 or 3 feet tall. He has a scythe that's probably 8 feet tall, which gives him his size, but he's so tiny that people just don't take him seriously. It's like the Grim Reaper, he's the size of a house cat. But
I think maybe he's compensating for something.
But it's a comic we've been working on. I don't want to give too much away. I mean, we already told you what it's called. It's basically about this character Twitch and his friends. So, like I said, there's a voodoo doll, the Grim Reaper, other characters we're going to introduce, and they work in the same kind of crappy jobs we all work at. They work in retail, and
that's the whole idea behind the comic is that it's a bunch of goofy cartoon characters putting up with the exact same crap that anybody who works with the general public or in retail puts up with on a day-to-day basis.
And when you have people who, like for example, the Grim Reaper, who has powers, dealing with the stupidity of the human race every day, things get interesting.
Yeah.
And you have, like I said, Cindy, who's a devil girl, who's basically an embodiment of fan service, I would call her.
Yes. But don't get the wrong idea.
You gotta have fan service. That's important.
Yeah, you gotta have fan service, and she's definitely fan service. But I didn't design the character to be the dumb eye candy. Trust me, she's good looking and dangerous.
Yeah, she's not a girl you want to mess with.
No.
She's smart fan service.
Exactly.
Yes. But like I mean, but if you've ever seen Twitch, then
Think Harley Quinn.
Yeah, a little more serious than that, but just as crazy.
Yeah.
But if you've ever seen Twitch, and if you have, good for you. But
we know who you are.
He's this green character. He has purple hair. Like I said, if you go on onthehuntcomics.com in the FOE 19 Studio section, there are old cartoon, crappily made. I know because I did it myself. Cartoons about this character. And basically, this comic book is going to be the continuation of his story. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. We're hoping to premiere something for it at Rhode Island Comic Con, whether it's a shirt or the first couple panels of the strip or a couple of mini strips or something.
I want to have at least. I'm currently putting out like character sheets with like their info and everything. Those right now are on my my new art page,
which is art by Dan H.
Yep.
FOE 19 Studios is still there. If you want to follow it, go ahead. Because the comic is being put out by FOE 19 Studios.
Yes.
So, but if you want to see Dan's artwork, follow art by Dan H. Also follow Shiny Doctor Cosplay and On the Hunt Collectibles on Facebook.
But I'll have I'm gonna try to have the rest of the character sheets done by the end of this month, and I want to have at least a strip or two, comic strip. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
A comic strip done by the end of October.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can bring it to Rhode Island Comic Con and
yeah.
start getting out there. If not, maybe MegaFest. So, but it's something we're working on. Hopefully it goes somewhere. If not, we'll just do it for fun.
That's really all we're doing it for. I'm just doing this for fun. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting anybody to actually like this.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to this podcast, then there might be hope.
Yeah,
but
true.
But I guess I mean that's it. Once again, follow us on thehuntcomics.com. You can check out this podcast. Also on if you go on YouTube, username Maestro65. If you follow Art by Dan H, FOE 19 Studios, or on Collectibles, or Shiny Doctor Cosplay on Facebook, all great pages. I know it sounds like a lot, but On the Hunt Comics that's the store we're trying to open. Art by Dan Hunt, that's Dan's personal artwork. Shiny Doctor Cosplay is Brian's cosplay page, obviously.
And the actual URL, if you're trying to type it in on Facebook, the page is Art by Dan H, but the URL is Dan H Art page.
Yeah, so if you put in art by Dan H, you'll find it. The profile picture, I believe, is a drawing he did of the Max.
Yep.
If you all remember the Max comic, which is actually a really good comic, you should read it.
Yes.
If you're also on the Hunt Collectibles, look for our logo. It's an hourglass. I'm sorry, not an hourglass. It's a magnifying glass. It says on the Hunt. You can't miss it. Shiny Doctor Cosplay, I believe it's just a picture of him, but it's a cosplay page. So, like I said, follow it. He does a really great job. Really great costumes. But you have anything else to add, Dan?
I think that's pretty much a wrap.
Yeah, and Brian stepped out, but I think that's it. So until next month, party on, Wayne.
Yeah, party on, Garth.